Again. Are there any questions about anything before we start? All right, so I will let Lamont take it over.
Hello again, how are you doing today? All right. I'm a 54-year-old male. I have sickle cell anemia, beta thalassemia. I've known about it since 2 weeks after birth. During that time when I was born back in the 70s, it was a process that you got tested for stuff like that later. So when I was growing up in public school, literally there would be this time of year, we'd all get called into the nurse's office. All the Middle Eastern, all the African American kids, anybody with any tropical heritage, you ended up in the nurse's office getting a blood test to see if you had sickle cell anemia in Detroit. And they don't do that anymore as much as they used to. A little bit of medical history. I've had bilateral hip and shoulder replacements. Both hips have been replaced twice each. I got those great Johnson & Johnson DePuy hip replacements that lasted like 4 years. Like, yeah. No, you have no idea. I was 19 years old in college doing the frat boy thing out for and I'm sitting there doing the frat boy thing, chasing girls, and so much 1,000 miles an hour to stop. You have people coming age, you have septicemia that is system-wide, and we need to put you in the hospital. So I went from partying, enjoying myself, and having a 3.8 GPA and all this stuff to I'm now having to learn everything about my disease I never knew. I never knew it could cause you to lose body parts. I never knew it could take away your mobility. I mean, I had a friend who had passed away, but I thought I was taking care of yourself. And no, I got it because I was a vegetarian and I went to Shoney's breakfast buffet. And got some running scrambled eggs off the breakfast buffet because food poisoning, no joke. A month in the hospital. A month in the hospital, 36 operations by the time I was 36. You know, it's a different thing than I thought it was. And it was just about pain every now and then. And then it became, things don't work anymore. Like to take up the car, so I had a cholecystectomy when I was 19, that was the first operation. I got at the hospital after that month, went home, my right shoulder swollen to the size of a grapefruit. Well, it turns out that when I was in the hospital, the nurses would come in my room and ask me to pull myself up in the bed, and I'd reach over my shoulder and heave myself up. I cracked my shoulder capsule. So the center never got in there. 7 IND operations. So I had scars on the front and the back. And then, just for fun, ortho said, we're going to take your left shoulder while it's still a good replacement. There's nothing wrong with that, doctor. I know, but we're going to take it while it's still a good replacement. So I am having a hip replaced because, of course, while I was in the hospital, the hip just started to degenerate. Avascular necrosis of the femoral head. I'm talking to a lot of sick people on Reddit and online that are facing that very same situation right now. And it's a rough one. In fact, May 29th of this year, I tapped out on one of the last 4 times that I've come here to do this speech. I essentially come in, do my speech, and go right back out and go to work. I work with Batteries Plus, corporate delivery driver, first one ever. They had created a position for me. And my job was to drive around in a van that may or may not have heat and air in the lovely Columbus, Ohio weather climate. And I would be in that van 8 hours a day in the heat, in the cold. And mind you, what the job entailed was to go from store to store for Batteries Plus in the Columbus area, so Hilliard, Grove City, Claytonville, Reynoldsburg, and Lewis Center, and pick up dead batteries. So if you brought your car in because you need a new battery, I also got to take the battery out the back of the store. So I might be moving a ton of batteries, literally 2,000 pounds easy by myself, no driver. So I was having shoulder pains at the beginning of last year, and I went to ortho, and they were like, "Hey, dude, you might want to go ahead and tap out on that job and see if you can find light duty because your shoulders are down to bare metal because they did a hemioplasty, so I still had the natural cartilage. But now I don't. So it's bone metal. And right now, what do you guys think sickle cell looks like? You know, the extended bellies, the skinty arms and legs. I've never looked like that. Never been a typical sickle cell patient. I don't have sickle cell crisis like a lot of my friends do. I don't get them that often, like a true crisis where it's all blood related. It's not due to secondary infection. It's not due to I'm not eating right. It's just a crisis happening because the weather changed. Like all this rain. I am so medicated right now. You have no idea. My left shoulder is just singing a whole song by itself. It's been doing that for the last 3 days. But my options are go to the immediate care center, get some IV fluids, pain meds, hopefully it goes away, hopefully I feel better. If I don't, after that 3rd shot, they're going to keep me. I got a 3-year-old now. I got a 29-year-old, a 17-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 3-year-old. I'm a dad. I never thought I would be. That was not in the portfolio. Finding someone who didn't have sickle and living a normal, quote unquote normal. Y'all know what normal is? Nobody knows what normal is. Man, come on, y'all need some doctors and y'all taking lab classes and stuff like that, and don't know how to break that word normal. Normal, now, not bad. Not a bad time. That's all I was trying to do. Is live a decent life. I've had a hips replaced. I've had a gallbladder removed. I've had one shoulder cut open 7 times in a week. Yeah, when it's swollen to the size of that grapefruit, something that only a doctor can say and sound smart. I go to the ER, get dropped off by my mom. She looks at me and she goes, "Well, I'm not gonna stay with you because ain't nobody else gonna pay these bills. I'm the only one that's working, so I gotta go work." She's out. I'm at the ER going, "Okay, so we're 19, we can handle this. We're grown. Let's walk in here." And doctor says that you have, I think it's an infection, but I can't be sure. This is after he's aspirated my shoulder. The synovial fluid came out looking like lemonade. And I looked at him and I was like, "Doc, I don't know what medical school you went to, but if you was a order, you can call them and tell them that you want your money back because my kid has infected." Synovial fluid is supposed to be clear like water and about the consistency of glycerin, right? I know this is a 19-year-old kid that I was taking electronics engineering technology. I wasn't doing anything at all. But I paid attention to school. I was that smart kid. And for all you smart kids here, all y'all that have sweat, got sat there in stress, lost a couple of hairs, some sleep, missed out on some parties and some dates, I want y'all to understand something. University only gives you entry level knowledge. Everything else will be on the job training because the lab cannot recreate the field. Okay? What they can show you in lab, in class, what they can reproduce. There's somebody walking around with something that the medical books have never seen. So keep that open mind. Don't say it can't because we don't live in a world of possible and impossible. We live in a world of probability. How likely is something to happen? Given enough time, everything will happen. Tell you a little trick. I went home to Georgia, because I'm from Savannah, Georgia. I went home a couple of weeks ago, about 3 weeks now. And I wanted to see so many people in my mom's neighborhood. But instead of trying to run around and chase on them down, I just sat on the porch. There's a theory that says that if you sit in one place long enough, everybody you ever met in your life will pass you by. And it was crazy that everybody I knew in the neighborhood walked by. That's a part of my daily life of living with sickle cell. I get up, I assess how I feel. I break it down to the family like this. How you feeling today? I'm about 60%. My back's hurting. I'm gonna take my meds and I'm gonna lay down for a second and I'm gonna let that kick in, then I'm gonna see how I feel. Then I'll get it to do something. I started working at Valley Schools in 2021, and I tapped out, and I worked at a job with blood clots in my lungs. I literally went from having a cold to pneumonia to bronchitis to a blood clot in my lung. And every time they released me from the hospital, I would go right back to work. I'm talking about, I got in the car, I still have a Band-Aid on my arm, and I'm going to work. Because in my mind, I don't want to be that patient that leans on his illness. I don't want to be that person that's just a burden. See, some of that psychology stuff is getting in. A burden. Where would I get that idea from? That I'm a burden to somebody. I'm an only child. Correction. I'm a weird only child. So, I get to hold every position in the family chart, except being the baby. Alright, so my mom had a child before me that didn't make it. She had me, and then she had a child after me that died shortly after birth, so I'm her only child and her middle child. On my dad's side, I'm the oldest of 10. So, where did I get this whole burden? My mom drilled it into me. See, these are the things that you as doctors, you may get to witness, you might get a glimpse of it if your parents are there with a child during the visitation. But my mom drilled it into me that I have to be self-sufficient. I have to grin and bear it. When I'm hurting, I have to still be able to go to school. When I'm hurting, I have to still be able to go to work. I have to still show up and do just like everybody else does. It doesn't matter how sick I am. I have to be to a point where she has to call an ambulance. And growing up, the rule was, if I wasn't sick more than 2 weeks, then I couldn't go to the doctor. So that means that I was home, in pain. The treatment was Gatorade, chicken noodle soup, and rubbing alcohol. Alcohol of any form, whether ingested or applied, is still detrimental to sickle cell patients. It draws the water out. But my mom, that was all she knew. Sad to say, she was a nurse in training when she got pregnant with me, so I don't understand how she had that much. But that was my mom. I would take care of myself while she was at work. Whether that was laying in bed and suffer or crawl. And I don't mean crawl on hands and knees. I mean military, I'm in the trench, crawling with my elbows because my legs don't work. I can't stand up and pull myself up to come over so I can use the bathroom. That I had to sit there and handle pain of that level because it jumps on you whenever. There is no set date, there is no specific parameter that you can sit there and say for certain, I'm gonna have a crisis today. So I show up to you guys. I'm in the ER, and I'm sitting there looking at that white coat. I don't care what's in the white coat. I just expect that white coat knows something that's gonna make whatever's going on right here go away and feel a lot better. I'm really praying that when that white coat walks in the door, that it's understanding. It has compassion attached to it. It has empathy. Sympathy, empathy. Difference. Sympathy is, I feel sorry for you. Dude, you're a medical student? You got how many classes? You're gonna be here how long? You're gonna devote how many years to becoming a doctor? I feel sorry for you. You fall down and hit your knee. Oh, I feel your pain. I have empathy for what that feels like. There's a difference. If you do your job correctly, then guess what? Some of you will rub off on your patients. And hopefully, some of you will rub off on you. We exist in a time right now, in a world right now, where they're telling us that our medical system is broken. It's just destructive and it's broken. Damn. I'll put it to you like this. I got a cousin that's a doctor. She does I. She floats from facility to facility. She's mostly doing geriatric care right now, care facilities. But she's not rich. She's not getting rich. And you guys didn't think this profession necessarily become rich. I mean, hematology is like you expect some medical breakthrough where you're curing some blood-borne illness. And you got patented and named it yourself. I'm believing, or I would like to believe that y'all think that y'all want to help people. You want to understand more about the human body. You want to understand more about this inside stuff that they call blood that we can't seem to do so well without. You know, it starts with you kind of walking out, you have problems. Which are lightheaded, woozy. You know, the only other thing that's more important than your blood in your body is your breath. All your breath on that was the first thing that happened to people's consciousness. Consciousness gone within 2 minutes. It lasts a bit longer than you believe in blood. But you guys, codes, people in the codes, you guys are the ones that we hope will listen, that we hope will not judge us. Let me give you an example of judging. So, I'm in the ER. Doctor asks, what works for you? I tell them, Benadryl, morphine, IV fluids, maybe a little oxygen. Doctor goes, Benadryl and morphine. You sure you need the Benadryl? Oh, I forgot, I need to finish it too. Oh, you're just trying to get high. Experiences in Georgia, okay? When the opioid crisis hit Savannah, Georgia freaked out. They looked at Florida and said, what is Florida doing? Florida said, we're not going to give sickle cell patients IV fluids and IV meds. We're going to force fluids. And here's a 600 milligram opioid, take that. And they started copying that. They really did, they applied it. Memorial Medical University, the hospital I was going to at that time, almost killed them. They killed them in friends. They were not giving fluids. They said he was sick enough to be hospitalized. Put him in the hospital, but they still didn't give him any fluids or anything. No treatment. Other than, here's a pitcher of water, force fluids, take them on. He ran him a bath to get into it and try and soothe the pain, because sometimes the hot water and warm water helps. He never got out of that tub. David Coward. I used to go to the Sickle Cell retreat with him and his sister, April. I lost April a couple years after that. We need good doctors. I lost my cousin. The cousin that I said is a doctor had a big brother. Edward Dwayne Barton. My name is Lamont Dwayne Barton. We were about the same age. That was my cousin. That was my brother. He was an engineer. He was designing homes. He was an architect. And I got some drafting skills from my engineering courses. And we were going to put a business together. He popped into town to visit me and surprise me. And got to see my new daughter when my 12-year-old was a newborn. And he was dead 3 days later because the doctors didn't listen to him in the ER and gave him nº4, which he was allergic to. He went into respiratory distress. His family was performing CPR, him and his wife. His kids are standing around watching daddy on the floor. She called his sister, my cousin. She comes in. She's the doctor. She's working on her brother that she knows is gone. But she can't stop working on her brother because his wife and children are watching him. That's at home. That's not a job. Understand what you may be getting yourself into. This is not 9 to 5. I call off on the weekends. There's this concert coming and I'm going. This is not that. This is dedication. This is a choice. And we need y'all to make it because you want to be here. Not because somebody made you. Not because it's a family lineage thing. We need you to want to be here. Because of that judgment, that doctor looking at me and telling me that, oh, I'm just here to get high. Dude, I got $500 in my pocket. I live in the project. The man on my left sells heroin, the man on my right sells weed, the man across the street sells coke. Why did I come to the ER to become a documented medical addicted patient? Why do I need to do that if I'm here to just get high? That's not why we're here. We don't want to get out of our beds. We don't want to walk away from our friends, our party. Because see, I took those 2 shots at my homeboy's party because he was going away to the military. I really know I shouldn't have been drinking alcohol, but it was a party. And that's why I'm on your face now. That's why I'm sitting here going, no, I'm not feeling the best. But if I can trust you, then I can tell you that, yeah, I took 2 Oxycontins and 30 milligram tablets and 15 immediate release and 2 shots of tequila, and I didn't drink any water. I had 6 Red Bulls just on the way to the party. That's not a joke. That's real stuff that is happening. And we need to trust you. If you walk through that door, that coat comes through that door, and that coat sees this face, and the face on that coat changes up, I already know it's going to be a bad interaction. This is not about to be good. I'm already getting locked up. I'm already getting ready for a fight. I already feel like I'm already getting myself dug in and getting ready to advocate for myself because I feel like I'm going to have to push the issue that, hey, this is what works, this is what I need, this is what's in my profile. This is what's already documented. I'm not making it up. Why do I have to argue with you about something that you can read for yourself? I know your license is online, but we got hematologists right now down in Florida. I send them down to Miami. They are trying to get sickle cell patients off of their meds as they're transferring from children's hospital to adult care. They're trying to get these kids to stop taking the pain medicine regimen that they've been pushing on them since forever. They want them to take Suboxone. Do y'all know what kind of crazy drug routines doctors have put me through? I had a doctor that was a geriatric doctor. He had me on methadone, oxycontin, 30 milligrams, immediate release, OxyContin, 60 milligrams, extended release, Finnegan, Benadryl, and methadone, all at the same time. I went to the doctor did my drug regimen and was like, he's trying to kill me. I remember that as time when I was that doctor. I had a whole bad experience. See, what happened was back in 2016, I got really, really sick, and I went to the hospital for one of those crises that wasn't started by sickle cell, it was started by something else. The then baby, the now 12-year-old Anna, got sick. She was about 2. Apparently her immune system has the keys to my immune system. Because my child is cold, I get the flu. She gets the flu, I get pneumonia. She got anything worse than that, I'm in here. Literally. She's only put me in the hospital twice since I've been up in Ohio. But I'm in the hospital, I've been there about a week, and it was a slow crisis. Crises come in modes and speeds. So, there's nothing in your book that's gonna help you understand this. Right now, I'm okay. I told you my shoulder's hurt, but I'm okay. Let me walk out here and call it rain, going from here to the parking garage. Getting my knees wet, having that wet cloth against my knees for the time it takes me to walk across to the safe harbor garage is enough time for a crisis to start. Nothing else wrong. Just that, and the temperature change is enough to send you to a crisis. So this particular stay, I'm in the hospital. I've been there about 5 days now, and it's been so. The meds have been maintained. They got an NPC pump. I'm on like a low dose maintenance dose. It's not that much. I don't even need to push the button. I'm close. I'm okay. Just get my fluids, let my body rest up, heal up. And I fell asleep after breakfast with my leg from underneath the car. And I woke up and my leg was ice cold. And I was like, ooh, that's, okay. Let's see if we can get the circulation back in there. And I walk up to the nurse's station and I let the nurse know, hey, I'm about to go downstairs and smoke this real quick. And I'm going to see if I can shake this off because my right leg is starting to bother me. And I'm going to go downstairs and see if I can shake it off. See if I can warm up and shake it. She says, okay. Me, PCA bump, all that, we're downstairs, and I'm outside in front of the hospital. And I'm puffing, I'm shaking this leg, and alright, I'm down there about 15 minutes. I go back inside, get in the elevator, go back up to the floor, stop by the nurse and say, hey, when my nurse gets back, let her know to go ahead and call my doctor, because this is about to get bad. And I go in my room, he said, and I get in the bed. I hit the bed, and it went from 0 to 1,000. I was levitating off the bed, screaming. My head was on the back of the bed, my feet were on the bed. The rest of me was parked in the air, screaming. The doctor, oh my gosh, what was his name? I really just forgot his name. Look. So, my family walks. At this particular time, my children's mother, she went and got kids from school, brought them up to the hospital to see me, and they walked in. Dr. Joseph Brown, that's his name. I'm in there screaming, and they're looking at me, and they're trying to find, okay, where's the nurse? That's what they're going for, the nurse. Dr. Brown walks in at that moment, and as he walks in, I feel their attention switch from me to the door. And through the tears, I look and I see him standing there, and I see this face of horror on him. Because he's never walked through a whole sickle cell battle with me. He's been there to admit me or to release me from the hospital. It was always the attending or whoever was covering the weekend shift or whatever. It was always that person that was there. I would see Dr. Brown at the end of the hospitalization or the beginning. He never fought a sickle cell battle. Not once. I've been his patient for like 7, 8 years at that point. And when I saw the little horror on his face, I looked at my family, and they recognized that he was scared. All confidence in doctors gone. I no longer trust them, the family no longer trusts them. You know that medical mask they try to teach y'all to have? There are appropriate times for it. He gave me Lobotox and Levodopa. There was nothing wrong with my bowels. I was moving just fine. He insisted that I had it. It locked my bowels up. And when I say it locked my bowels up, I'm talking about they put the brakes on me so hard that I started going to toxemia. I took a shot. Yay, fun stuff to have. So now I'm in blood transfusion. And I want to discuss this with my family before I accept this blood transfusion, because this is still, we're kind of not sure about the blood supply. So you're going to ask questions. Is it worth me taking this blood now to live a little longer and then be diagnosed with new sickness and die soon, or take the blood and hope everything is all right, or refuse the blood and die now for certain? Blood can't drop down to 2. Yeah. I got stories. I done knocked off 7 trees. In fact, I knocked off 9 trees in 1 year. Driving cabs. I've got stories. They had to lifeline the blood from Atlanta because they couldn't find a tight cross match for me. Since I had target blood transfusion and my body agreed to just let me antibodies. So, getting a blood transfusion is not one of those things that's on my to-do list anytime soon, because I really don't want to find out how hard it's going to be to get me a match this time. I understand there's a limit to that. That doctor came in that morning to let me know that I was going to need blood transfusion because my county dropped down to 2. And I said, well, okay, let me discuss it with my family. He said, okay. When would it be? I said, this afternoon. She got the kids from school and everything, but they're coming here to visit. I'll discuss it with them. He makes it in about 30 minutes before she gets there. And he goes, well, have you talked to your family? I said, no. I haven't had a chance to. They're on their way. They should be here for you. She just called me. I don't know how you run things in your household, but in my household, I'm the man of the house, and my family does what I say. If I can get up this bed, if I can get up this bed right now, I'm gonna tell you what I'm about to say. It's gonna be a charge. Because I'm gonna go across the back of your head, because you are walking out the door with your back to me saying that over over the shoulder. Part of my speech that I give to the new class is about that MD, that DR. It deserves respect. I will always give y'all respect for that. But understand this, you're still a person. You're still human. You will need a doctor. Do you want someone that comes to you and goes, all right, I'm Dr. So-and-so and I'm a PhD in hematology and you guys are gonna be my class this year. Or would you like somebody to come in and go, hi, my name is Lamont Bryan. I'll be giving you a speech today. It sounds a little bit different when they do it like that. Little bit. Trust and don't judge. Listen. And listen to y'all nurses. Oh my God. You get 7 years of being a doctor. She's got 32 years of being a nurse. She's sitting on the floor pulling 2 12s with the same patient that you've seen twice in rotation. You've seen twice for 5 minutes apiece. A total of 10 minutes. Out of 2 12s, 2 12s, that's 24 period. She's been sitting in this section. To help y'all understand how important that is, during one of my crises, a nurse, and God forgive me, I can't remember her name. I'm terrible like that. If I learn your face, I will recognize you anywhere. I will speak to you, I will greet you, I will, hello, how you doing? You okay? You have a good day? I'm terrible with names. But this nurse had a daughter that had sickle cell. And this was another crisis that started moving fast. This is another weekend, I'm in the hospital again, and I was cruising along, everything's okay. And it goes from 0 to 1,000, 8 p.m. sharp, Friday night. I remember that. I can't tell you the date, but I remember it was 8 p.m. on Friday night. I was fine, and then it just clunked up, and it just started ratcheting up, and it just kept going. And I'm hitting the button, and it's not working. It just kept going. The pain just kept pushing to a new level, a higher threshold. My little brother walked into the room, and I was in there screaming, and he bent in the corner, and he was like, where your nurse at? I was like, give me my gun. I am not done with me in the hospital. It was in my nightstand. I told him, give me my gun. I said, I want to shoot myself. Give me my gun. I can't do this no more. He walked over, opened the drawer, dropped the magazine. Yeah, I'm changing like always. I'm gonna put this away for you. Come on, I'm gonna go find my nurse. I'll be back. He went back to nurse. She asked the charge nurse, could she push all her patients off with the other nurses? She sat there all night with me. I woke up the next morning. I don't remember her coming in. I don't remember none of that nurse did that night. I remember my brother walking out of the room with my gun saying he's going to be a nurse. That's what I remember. I wake up, she's sitting in the chair next to my bed. I'm like, what are you doing here? Said, I've been sitting here all night. What time is it? It's 8 a.m. Saturday? She said, yeah. Last time I looked at the clock, it was 8 p.m. Friday. She said, yeah, you were screaming all night. Okay, why are you here? She reached in her pocket, she pulled out a syringe full of morphine. She said, because I've been pushing IV morphine for you all night long. I asked the nurses, charge nurse, could I offload my other patients? And I've been sitting here with you. And she reached into her other pocket, she pulled out a syringe of a talking about, I go to the ICC right now, they're gonna give me 3 of morphine 3 times. In Savannah, they give me 12 of morphine 3 times. I've come out of surgery and they gave me 150 of morphine. I sat there and watched TV. 150 of morphine, 75 of Finnegan. I put my bed all the way up in there and watched TV. I had so much medicine in my system, I was scared. So I was sitting there monitoring my breathing and my heart. So going through stuff like that can make you a little off in the head. I'm not right. I'll let y'all know that honestly right now. I'm not right in the head. But I want to do something better with this. For all the things that I've survived, all the operations, all the car wrecks, all the fights, all the insane stuff like I caught a bullet in my hood. Sat outside with friends, and I wanted to walk up to the corner store near my house, Farrell's at my mom's house. We live near the fair in Savannah. And me and my neighbors, we walk up to the store, and we were standing outside, and they're explaining to me about this random guy that rolled up on them and asked them if they were okay because he saw them walking with me. And right as they were telling me that story, we hear pow, pow, pow. When I heard that, I ducked, and I turned around to run back into the store. As I'm running, I feel something tugging on my hood. And I get inside the store, and I'm like, there's a hot, fresh bullet in my hand. So in me surviving things like that, there's a purpose for me still being here. If I can teach y'all how to be better doctors, I said this is a good way to fix this medical system. Because right now, the only people getting rich in this medical system, the way it's set up, are CEOs. And I don't see any CEOs sitting in here right now. I mean, I'm a sole proprietor, but I'm not a CEO, so we have to do better. And we can do better by you listening and not judging. Because see, right now, I'm on Social Security. I've been on Social Security since I was 19. I went from making $144 a month on Social Security. The best thing I got out of it was the insurance. Paid for all the surgery, all the medical insurance. And the first hospital bills that came in when I first got sick, yeah, I stopped opening medical bills after the first 3. First hip replacement surgery was $32,000. The next one was $27,000 for the shoulder, $26,000 for something else, and I stopped opening envelopes. So Medicaid and Medicare did a real good job there. But we have to make this system better. The only way we can do that is if we can team up, and I can be honest with you. I know that there are certain protocols that y'all have to report, certain things like that, abuse, child abuse, different things like that. If you see it, you have to report it, I understand. But I think people to tell you that I had like 2 shrooms and I smoked a homeboy, and I know I didn't take care of myself. That's why I'm here. So that you can treat me correctly. See, that way you're protecting your license. That way you're covering yourself. Right now, in 2026, Social Security stepped to me and said, okay, it's time for a medical review. We need to see if you're still disabled. Mind you now, at the time that I got disability, Sickle Cell didn't qualify as a disabling factor. It was because they took my hips and shoulders that I got disability. So they want to know if I'm still disabled. If one of y'all can tell me that my bones magically grew back and I'm suddenly okay, and I can get back to what I was doing when I was 19, then we can talk about this whole I'm not disabled anymore. So, This is stress right now. I stopped working May 29th. May 30th, I got a letter from Social Security saying that they were gonna audit me for my work history over the past 4 years, 2025 to 2021. Okay. That's typical. They immediately sent me a letter the next week saying that I owe them $2,000 as an overpayment. They said they paid me too much money because I was making too much money. I was, what they say, gainfully employed. A week after that, they sent me another letter saying, no, you owe us $7,000. Pause, give it a week, come back, you owe us $76,836.92. They did not give me my check for June. My check pays the rent. Her check takes care of the utilities. We work out the kids in the middle zone. That's what the job is for. The job is there. They didn't give me June. Go into the local office, they look at the paperwork and go, this makes no sense. You went from having a doctor, you're supposed to go see a doctor, to reevaluate you for disability, and now they hit you with an overpayment. And wait, there's a letter in between that says, instead of us reviewing you for 2025 or 2021, we're gonna go back to 1994, when you were in the hospital being cut up on a gurney, not able to walk. You somehow managed to have one company that you were disabled because they don't base it on your physical ability. They base it on how much money you can bring in a month. So see that stress. Now I got problems. Now I have to figure out how am I gonna make sure that car insurance, phone bill, and rent get paid this month. So here's what I did. I know somebody in my building that likes to, partake in narcotics. So I decided that, you know what? It might not be the worst thing to let go of some of my narcotics so that I can get some money to cover my bills. Now I've shorted myself with my pain medicine, and now I'm in your face. Not because I'm abusing my medicine. Not because I'm taking more than I'm prescribed. But because I was placed into a choice where I have to figure out how to pay my bills. I gotta figure out how to make sure my kids get to school though. See, stress itself is our crisis. That's stress. These are the things that you're going to be dealing with for real. That neighbor, that friend that came to my apartment to get the medication saw another bottle and took that too. So I didn't see that they took that bottle. So now I didn't know that I'm completely out of medicine. And now I'm in the ER, I'm looking at you, and you're looking back at me going, well, you got pain medicine at home, why are you here? Can I tell you that? Can I trust you? Can I be that honest with you? To say that this is my situation. I did this to get by, and now I'm here. I'm not running around to different doctors trying to get prescriptions and playing the shuffle game and going to different pharmacies and going out of state to get prescriptions from other pharmacies. There's some organic to it. I did not know these things until somebody discovered what medication I was on. You got people that will jump you and hurt you for that pain medicine. They will rob you just like you walking out the phone with the newest iPhone and a pair of Jordans on. There's a lot more to how and why we end up in the ER. Nutrition is an important factor. Always encourage your patients to eat better. Lots of green and leafy vegetables for the ones that can tolerate it. I didn't know that certain sickle cell patients actually can't eat spinach or greens or lettuce because it messes with your hemoglobin and it actually sends them into a crisis. For me, I'm the opposite. I I can't absorb iron. So I have to eat salads, fruits, vegetables in order to keep my hemoglobin up. These are the differences that y'all inform us of. You're the guys that teach us this stuff. And you guys being set right here, y'all don't catch a lot of kids coming in from children's. And I'm gonna tell you personally, we are woefully letting those kids, we're letting those kids down. I don't know if any of you have ever been in the military. One of my friends explained to me that going into the military, they hold your hand every step of the way. Every little thing, they guide you. There's a map, there's lines on the floor. Here's how you get to this unit. That's how you do this. This is the paperwork before you. On your way out, the military is like, get up, thanks for service, deuces. And we're kind of treating the kids at children's like that. So they're trying to figure out how in the world to navigate all this stuff. And they got mom and daddy at home telling them, oh, you're taking too much of your medicine. So they're withholding their medicine from them. Yeah, they got their kids on my phone right now on Reddit talking about how their parents literally get their medicine under lock and key. I don't know if there's an extenuating story behind that, or if their parents are just that afraid. Fear and embarrassment run a lot of reasons why people do stuff. I was scared to become a drug addict. So I was afraid to take pain meds. I was afraid to go to the ER. If I went to the ER, it's because I held out until I couldn't hold out anymore, and the people that I lived with got tired of me screaming. And they called the ambulance and sent me to the hospital. And people out there looked like my mom, might have been my wife at the time, little brother, whoever. See, that college track that I was on to become an engineer, left turn, four-wheeler through the woods. I did my whole hospital thing and learned that I'd never walk again. They told me I'd never walk again. At 19, y'all know how much of a crash out became? Crash test dummy. Say it to me. Say it, dare me. Don't dare me. Just say it. This is not good. Oh, go get her phone. Okay. I bet you won't drink this. Okay. I bet you won't eat that. Okay. Whatever. Driving down the highway, 100 miles an hour, 125, no headlights. At midnight, no moon. I'm flying up 16. Me and one of my friends, we're heading to the country. We about to go find us some country girls to go party. This is after I had the hips replaced, by the way. This is after I got the first set of hips. This is how I destroyed them in less than 4 years. I went back to the clubs. I was in the little country clubs, in the little hold-up places in Georgia. I was dropping like a top. I was getting it. Yeah, I worked in hips out in less than 4 years. I'm talking about sleeping in my car in the woods, just so I could be near the girl that I was digging on that lived up in that town. In the cold. Cut it off, let it run for a little while, cut it off. Until her mom found out that I was doing that and was like, Lamont, you got sickle cell. You don't need to be doing that. You can stay here. Just in the last month, we went down to Georgia on the 27th of July. Stayed for 2 weeks. My last day there, well, reset. Before I left, I contacted some folk on Reddit, some of the students, some of the sicklers, and let them know, hey, I'm gonna be going on vacation. I might be but I checked on him. One of the guys was in the hospital right then. He was telling me that his crisis was getting better, he was doing all right. All right, man, cool. Look, I'll check up on you while I'm on vacation if I get a chance to. Not definitely check on you when I get back. I get back and log in the Reddit. He's gone. His wife is posting from his account because that 0 to 1,000, yeah, he didn't make it. He didn't get to hit the brakes. You know what they say, the worst thing about fall is the sudden stop again. Yeah, at 0 to 1,000, you need to wind it down. You don't need to have your sudden stop for that. It will kill you just as fast as anything else with sickle cell. And just to remind me, just when I was in that mindset that I'm doing well, my sickle cell is controlled, I'm not having any major crisis, I'm able to do pretty much what I want to do. I'm able to play with my baby, I'm able to do things with the kids, and teach my son how to drive. I get reminded that I'm a mortal man. Because just to add the cherry onto that, there was some neighbors in my mom's neighborhood that I said I didn't want to catch up with. I went around the corner, 1 block over, stopped at my neighbor's house. I need to see her mom and her dad. Because the last 3 times I've been back home, I didn't get to see them. I saw my brothers, but I didn't get to see mom and dad. And sure enough, little brother's outside. What's up, man? How you doing? I'm getting ready to get back on the road. Hey, cuz, what's up, cousin? Hey, man. Look, I got a little bit of trees on me. I can't take this back on the road, things like that, because y'all trying to get doing too much. My God, I got spoiled. People come on the side and this little crew just ride with the neighborhood for a minute. Here, have that. Love you, man. We'll be back down next year. We're moving back down permanent. As soon as Jalen graduates high school, we're out. He's felt as he can't do another winter in Columbus. That was Tuesday, August 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, something like that. That friend who I was going to visit her mom called me the next day to tell me that that same cousin that I just hugged is gone. 42 years old. Mom found him non-responsive in his room. So, whatever time we have, do something. Get over those hurdles with family and friends. Make the connections with other people, because the only immortality that you get in this world is through the people who continue to speak your name after you're gone. Those are going to be the people that know you, that love you, that trust you. They're going to be the people that help you understand you. You sit there and you deal with them. Some of them you can't stand for various reasons. They might not be the most worthy people to be around, but guess what? They can still teach you how to avoid that kind of snake. If you need to recognize that that's a copperhead and this is a rattlesnake and that's a cobra, then guess what? You can spot the snakes in the crowd. You can see the cobras and the rattlesnakes all around you. And it becomes a little easier. It makes it a little easier to discern people in your job. Makes it easier to walk in that room, because I'm going to do something different. What do you expect when you open a chart and you're staring at a chart for a second? What do you expect walking into that room, looking at their lives?
I'm not sure, actually.
That's still better than something you expect. Some people actually have preconceived notions. They expect to see somebody terrible. What do you expect when you start. They have more questions than you. There's none of that place for you. I want you to have questions. I want you to ask me things. I want you to take the time to understand why I'm here, why I'm living, why I'm in your face. I scared of your face. Take a look at me. I'm asking you this question. What do you think is the main difference in the sickle cell person with the crisis?
The sickle of the blood and, blood clots in the veins and causes the crisis, pain from those cells pumping up against the blood vessels, causes issues.
Alright, that's a good answer. That's a categorizer. That's how it works. What you think sends us there is, it's not always that. I was put in the hospital and kept in the hospital for a month, and it was primarily I had a doctor that told me once that I was the best version of mind over matter he'd ever seen. Because when I'm in the hospital, people come and check up on me and visit me. I'm out of there every day. But when nobody cares and nobody comes by and checks up on me, I linger. I can't fight something to you out of work that way from me. I can just tell you that. And sometimes I'll feel more off than my blood labs say. So while you're looking at my labs and you're going, okay, it's this kind of crisis, he's in this stage right here, I'm feeling something totally different. Because there's a psychological component to it that's causing more stress on my body, which is making me not breathe this much. Because breath oxygenates the blood, so breathing is very important. Having birth control during a crisis is something that don't teach sickles. I had to learn that on my own. Being able to control your breath when you're going through a pain crisis. Y'all understand what a sickle cell crisis even feels like? I can give you one example that'll work. You ever had somebody put the blood pressure up on you and tighten it too much? That tight pain that's in that arm right there, well, that can move. Now it's in your knee. Now it's in your back. It moves. That same kind of pain and pressure. And then we're just gonna add some sharp pains to it. Where that pain hits you, it makes your leg weak. And now, we're talking about the mechanics getting involved. But my mind is already afraid of that pain before it even really jumps on me. So as soon as I start thinking that I'm feeling the crisis coming on, I'm already getting worried. I'm getting worked up. So now my blood pressure's up. Now my respiration is down. Because I'm too busy worrying to watch my breathing. That's the kind of stuff that sends us in the hospital. And anything that keeps us at the hospital is fear. We're scared. We're scared of you guys. Anybody is the person to be scared of? If somebody here thinks that there's really somebody to be afraid of, raise your hand. Because I promise you, I'm not a serious thing all around. But we are terrified of going to the doctor and having that. Are you sure that's what you need? That sounds like a lot to me. better doctors. This is a little ranch right here. One of my neighbors that were with me when I caught the blue in the hood, mother and daughter team, Kathy and Jerry Kirby. Her husband was named Big Benji. She got a son named Little Benji. Big Benji lived on my street before my mom and I lived on that street, and I got to know Big Benji. White guy, trucker, cool dude, taught me a lot. I watched his family grow, he watched my family grow. I lost Big Benji, my little brother Spence, the one that saved me when he took my gun and went and got my nurse. And my grandmother was 103 in 2023. I lost all three of them back to back. Here's why I bring up Big Benji. He had to have a stick placed in his heart. Now, I don't know much about that, but I now understand that there's supposed to be certain labs and numbers that say that, hey, he needs to have a stick placed. And Benji goes through the surgery. He comes out, he's in recovery, he's joking with his daughter, and he turns white as a sheet, lays back on the bed, and colds. Team rushes in, do everything that they can, try to do to save him. His daughter comes down and tells his wife, I'm sorry, but he didn't make it. We lost him. That's my fault. She looked at him and said, oh, you should have told me that. He says, what is your word against mine? A doctor just told a male widow that it was his fault why she's now a widow, and that it's her word against his. She was blessed. There were two other people in the waiting room that heard the two other women. And they signed affidavits, and it ended up being a whole deal, NDA, all that good stuff right there. They're good. But what I brought that story up for is that we don't need no more doctors like that. Y'all got classes, y'all got lectures all the time with Dr. I'm Dr. So-and-so. And because I'm Dr. So-and-so, you will respect my authority. That's not how it works. You give procedure respect to your own. Okay? I would remember you a lot more if you were that doctor that taught me stuff and showed me how to be a better patient and take better care of myself, than you were the doctor that just came in and just wanted to flaunt the fact that you're a doctor and I should listen to you. Dr. Brown, that the geriatric doctor that almost killed me, the low knocks and level 20. After that particular hospitalization, I went back to his office to let him know that I was going to leave his practice, and he handed me a letter saying that I wanted to leave my practice. I was like, cool. It walked out. On my way out, I got pulled aside by his office manager. Her cousin was named Unica Coward. She was a sickle cell patient. She was a young lady that I met when I was a teenager. Fell head over heels for her, would go to the hospital. I knew how to get past security, and I'd be up on the floor at 2 a.m. sitting with her and her cousin, and we got snacks, and we were telling stories and jokes and playing games. And we knew we could not get married because we both had full-blown sickle cell. When I went into that hospital and I fought that battle, that 0 to 1,000 battle, that doctor didn't fight with me, she was in the hospital at the same time. I went home to my kids and my family, and she didn't. We had that in the back of our head. We had that in the back of our head every time we think we have to go to the ER. My family made me quit the job. It wasn't just a simple work. My family had already been in the background going, dude, when you gonna quit? You said you're gonna quit, when you gonna quit? Because see, I went from going to the ICC once every 3 months to going every week. My routine became this. Monday, get up, go to work start my week, work my way through my week. Thursday, okay, I already know I'm feeling it. It was a rough week, I had a lot of that to move. I was doing my driving, it was hot, with no AC in the van. Friday, I'm on work. You get off at 9 o'clock tonight. When you get off, I'm gonna go to the ICC. I go to the ICC, get my food, get my meds, sleep all day Saturday. Slide my day through Sunday. I'm not 100%, I'm not there. I'm still medicated from Friday night. And Monday morning, I'm back at it. Let's say I managed to string together a couple of weeks where I didn't go to the ICC back to back like that. I would go on a Tuesday night. Stay there until, let's say if I go at 1 a.m., they'll get me out about 4:35 a.m. It's generally about a 5-hour treatment process. I'm out. I am walking out the door, getting in my car, medicated. I've been doing this too long. I've been driving medicated longer than I've been driving sober. Simply because that's the existence that I have in. When you see me, I'm always legally medicated. I am gone. 90% of the time. And I would get in my car. I might stop at McDonald's and get something in my stomach and go straight to work. Drive 8 hours, load batteries, deliver batteries, anything from 5 pounds to 140 pounds. I'm 145. There's a battery that's 160 pounds, and they wanted me to drop it off. I used to deliver them to the OSU bus farm, right off of King. What was that, 2065, building 2065, I think? Or something like that, right on King Road, the bus farm. They get these huge batteries that are like 160 pounds. They're about this tall, this wide, that wide. And if they fell off the pallet, I had to get back there and put it back on the pallet. I got 6 of those things. Let more than one slide off. I've got to put them back on. And I'm fresh out of the ER. And I'm hurting still. But because I've got little ones, I've got people that are depending on me, I've got my own things that I'm depending on. I'm stressing myself more. So now I'm doing what I got to do to get this done. I'm driving this route. I'm getting done with this route. I'm going home. And because I don't want to be hospitalized, because I don't want to go back to the ER in that 7-day window, they're going to put me in automatically. So I don't want to bring there. I might suffer through a worse crisis than the one that I went to the ER for initially. Just because I don't want to be in the hospital. You're going to run into a lot of sisters that don't want to be in the hospital again because I just got out of the hospital last week after being there for a month. I had 4-hour turnaround windows. I spent a month in the hospital, got out, thought I was free, didn't even get home good before I was like, you know what, you gotta take it back, you gotta take it back. I'm in the ER and they're going, come on. They got lunch in your room right now. Yeah, they released me earlier and I went home. You get back already? Yeah. That happens. You get tired of seeing me? Guess what? I get tired of being with you. I understand. You might be on your 3rd night of whatever rotation, and you've already had the last 40 patients before me want to cuss you out and nasty and stank with you. I try to teach the young sisters to go ahead and bond with their team. We need some common ground. I need to tell you about a a story or a joke or my kid or my pet or my car, something that we can connect on. Because that's gonna be the best thing to help you guys become better doctors. Because after a while, you know who you're gonna see win. We coming back to this. Generally speaking, what sets off one sickle will set off a clitoris. I think this is like heart patients and patients that are on dialysis, some of the same environmental stuff, weather changes and stuff like that, brings them in groups. So when you start seeing one sickle cell patient, start looking at the list to see what else you're gonna see. Your freedom flies will be free. Is there anybody that has any questions for me? You can ask me whatever you want. I'm willing to talk about it. As you've seen, you can ask about what it's like to raise a child, what it's like to go through expecting a child, and finding out that his mom didn't know that it might have been her or her twin sister that had sickle cell trait, so that I started begging her to have an abortion because I didn't want my son to come out sick like me. You can ask, what is it like to sit here and try and maintain a relationship with either your young children or adult children when you have sickle cell? You can ask, what does it feel like to recover from surgeries that you never thought you would have? And you have to sit there and go to physical therapy, and the physical therapy puts you in process. You can ask what you want. Anybody? I got a hand up there. I saw first. Yes.
So, you get a lot of stories about like doctors that did things to harm you, and then some stories of, it seems like nurses that spent time with you. Were there some examples of physicians and things that they did that you felt were really impactful, in a positive way? Given that, like, I think the physician a lot of times, unfortunately, even though we may want to, can't stay all night. Were there examples of things they did in their, role that were really helpful that you remembered?
Dr. Ferrer, he was my primary care physician when I was at Memorial Medical Center before it became Memorial Medical University back in 98, 99, something like that. He was the doctor that recognized that I was a good example of mind over matter. He listened to me when I told him that baths worked. This is my sickle cell. He started sending me down to hydrotherapy. And there I discovered that hydrotherapy can shorten the sickle cell crisis from a week to 3 days. And he made that a part of my routine, that every time I got admitted to the hospital, he would send me down to hydrotherapy. He would come in and be like, hey, you want to go down to therapy? Yes. He'd send me down there, and I'd be out there in no time. Dr. Ferrer, he was one, and Dr. John D. Roulette. He has been a friend, and he was my primary care for a number of years. He was a pediatric sickle cell doctor. He took me on at the age of 28, and I was the oldest patient in his practice. Some of the younger sicklers that I knew told me that he was their doctor, and I was looking for a doctor after Dr. Brown, and they referred me to Dr. Roulette. Dr. Roulette has been a lifelong friend. I watched his daughter grow up, he watched my son grow up. In fact, when I was in Savannah this past month, I was hoping to see him at the hospital that he works at now because he's an ER physician. Reason he's an ER physician, and this is something that you need to be aware of, in advocating for sickle cell anemia. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room. There's systemic racism that comes with this disease. Dr. Roulette said, Memorial, you have this property of this old public school adjacent to your campus that you haven't done anything within 10 years. I've got a great idea. What if you take that building, turn it into a sickle cell ward? That way all the sickle cell patients would be hospitalized in that one building. They could have classrooms so that the kids could still attend their school and have the homebound teachers come to that building and they could all find all their students in one location. Memorial said, you know what, Dr. Roulette, that is awesome. Ooh, we really don't think we'll renew your contract, your services will only be. They let him go to terminate his contract for standing up for sickle cell patients and wanting to open a clinic, essentially a sickle cell ward at the hospital. At that time, the way that Memorial handled admittance for sickle cell patients, you either ended up in pediatrics or geriatrics. They put you in peds because you're screaming with all the other kids and you ain't walking nobody. And they put you in geriatrics because they can forget you. You might not see, you might be on the geriatrics floor and then through the week. Yeah, everybody's in there commentating sheets, making sure you have food and everything. Weekend here, and they on that steps and staff. You are lucky to see your nurse at rounds, period. So, there's been a couple of doctors that have actually done quite a bit to teach me and help me. Dr. Holtzman, he's my orthopedic surgeon for the longest time. He did both my shoulders and both my hips. I met him back in the 90s when everything first started happening, and he's another one that's watched me grow up. And he's watched me thrive, he's watched me adapt, and he never put me in that place of treating me like I was less than. And I love Dr. Roulette, Dr. Hostball, and Dr. Ferrer for those things. And Dr. Duclos. I think his name was James Duclos. He ran the sickle cell, I'm gonna say it's a clinic. They didn't really have a straight sickle cell clinic like they do here. Like, this stuff is awesome. You guys have an awesome setup here for sickle cell. It's amazing. He was one of the doctors that helped show me that I was able to teach medical students. He would come in my room and he would bring my records, and he'd have a group of, doctors with them, young doctors that are still in like second year, third year medical school. He'd have them with him, and he'd be like, okay guys, this is Lamont Bryan, this is his records. My records came in volumes. And he'd sit them down on the table, and he'd be like, all right, I'm gonna turn it over to Lamont. You let them know how you're doing. And so what I'm doing here is what I started doing because of Dr. Blue. That's how I got into this. Like, I do spoken word poetry, so speaking to a group and knowing that I can control a group is nothing new. But being able to sit here and impart knowledge, impart hopefully some wisdom, and help you guys understand your situation, that's something that I would like to keep doing and help out for. There was somebody else, yes.
Thank you for coming to speak with us. I'm curious, what are your options for pain management at home versus in the hospital?
Okay, so at home, I use a combination of things like this morning. I knew that when I woke up to with my shoulder, it wasn't sickle cell, it was actually musculoskeletal pain. I was doing my therapy exercises and trying to do some push-ups and stuff the other night, and my shoulder was like, eh. So, a lead back and body was pretty good. Morphine, immediate release 15 milligrams, and morphine sulfate, extended release 30 milligrams. I'll take the lead first to see if that takes out that kind of pain. And if it does, then I'll hold off the morphine until I need to take it. I tend to try and keep just enough in my system so that I don't go into withdrawals, because they want me to have a constant dose in my system, and it doesn't work that way. I can sit there and take that morphine and still be hurting after a while. Not because the pain is necessarily so high that it's over the ability of the medicine nothing short of, an animal IV shot is gonna touch it. And so I'll do that, I'll hydrate, I'll write down my list in my head. Did I take my meds? Have I eaten today? What's the last thing I drank? Usually it's a Red Bull. Usually it's my second Red Bull by this time. I would be on my second 16-ounce can of Red Bull by this point in my day right now. I just stopped drinking Red Bulls like 2 days ago. I was like, okay. Somebody showed me a litmus test experiment, and I realized how difficult and easy it is to sit there and get that chemical reaction to happen, and that it takes a sip of Red Bull to change the acidity of 3 gallons of water. I was like, okay, I gotta stop doing that to myself. And I noticed that the foamy urine stopped immediately. So apparently I was doing some damage to my kidneys from drinking so many Red Bulls. Because that was my primary hydration. Red Bulls and water. If nothing else, then I'll at least just try and lay down somewhere, sit down somewhere, and just woosah and assess myself and see, is this going to become a problem, or is this something that can be handled at home? And then I'll make my decision from there whether or not I need to go seek further medical treatment or whether I can deal with this. Anybody else? Yes? And did I get you?
You described a lot of loss, and I am wondering if you have any wisdom to share about moving through grief and approaching our lives, maybe careers, that might put us in particularly close relationship with death.
When I used to go to Memorial Hospital, at one point I used to volunteer in the children's board, and I would play video games with the kids and puzzles and stuff like that. I thought that was my way to get back. And I walked in, I looked at the list of the patients one morning, and they were like, who do you want to pick? And I was like, oh, this kid right here. And they want to listen and looked at me and I was like, oh. And they said, come here. And I'm like, what? They gambled me up like I was going to surgery. I'm talking about apron, gloves, booties, everything. And they handed me a rag and a bottle of sanitizer. And I'm looking at them like, oh, okay, why? That little boy had AIDS. And he was 2 years old at the time. This was like 96, so we still didn't know a lot. And they told me, okay, you can take him to the playroom, and you can play with him in the playroom, but everything that he touches, you have to clean. So I'm walking behind this kid. No, and when it was finally time to take him back to his room, I stopped and I was like, whoa. If he understood what I just did to him, if he was an adult and understood that kid would be cussing me out right now. Because like, that was so disrespectful. I gotta clean everything we touch. And that broke my heart. I stopped going to do the volunteer work at the children's hospital because of that. And a little bit later, when I was driving cabs, I took a young lady to the hospital. I picked her up from the hospital one night. This was around Hurricane Katrina. And she gets in my cab and she sits in the back seat, and it feels like somebody just dropped a ton of bricks in my car. And I mean, she's only like 116, slight thing. And I actually said, ma'am, if you don't mind me asking, you seem like you got a lot on you. And she told me that she drove to Louisiana to get her family, drove back to Savannah. Her family asked her about pulling over to get some rest, and she said no, she wanted to make the drive. They weren't that far from Savannah. And she fell asleep at the wheel, and she ejected her little brother out of the car. He was dead on impact, and she was sitting there living with that. And that kind of put perspective in my life for who I lost, what I thought I had lost physically, mom came to the hospital one time talking about, Money, I miss the old Money. I miss the Money that used to be able to do things for me. And I said, Mom, I miss me too. I'm the one that can't do things. And I really mourned the loss of my physical health. I really went off the deep end. I really did. And all I can say to you right now is that you must remember that we are these things: energy, frequency, light, and vibration. Energy is never destroyed, it's just transmuted. And if you think